The Campfire Trifecta. Let's talk about it. This is a triple dynamic driver that I got on trade. All thoughts and opinions are my own. This is a very expensive IM at $3,300 and it is extremely divisive IEM. If you look at the shell, it is a very unusual, almost triangular shell, and it's kind of different than what most IEM shells are that I'm used to. For me, it fits in ear extremely well. It has kind of a golden tipped nozzle. It's kind of a translucent goldish kind of shell, and it looks and feels good in ear. I like the design of it, but it's a little bit different. It's not something I would normally think would be good, but it worked for me very well, and I have no problems with it. I find its faceplate beautiful and interesting, but maybe not my favorite faceplate, but a good solid IEM in its own right. Now let's look at the cable and the little booties that come with it. Not too exciting. It does come with 3 different IEM cables, which is kind of nice. They're all MMCX, has this nice little leather pouch. No complaints about the overall packaging and quality of the packaging of this IEM. Now this is an interesting IEM. When I first got this in, I started listening to it and it was really odd and strange. It started having some problems with a lot of instrumental tracks, and I talked to some people, I read some reviews, and I started realizing a lot of people had that same problems with some orchestral music. It just doesn't sound good in certain branches. But when you get it on the right track, on some hip-hop tracks, its bass really shines and it has a great soundstage that's all around you. It's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde IEM, where sometimes it is exceptional and it will do stuff to your music that you're not used to. Other times it will sound very boring and really odd. Like it's almost like a hit or miss style IEM that kind of shoots away from neutrality in a kind of fun, interesting kind of a way. It's a full 3 dynamic driver IEM and it's extremely expensive. And it's not an easy listen. It's almost like an IEM that has an engaging listen. And that's something to note. Let's look at some frequency response graphs and then go from there. The first slide I wanted to show you is kind of a bunch of different FR graphs. And you'll notice, the Hype 10, the Hype 4, the Kiwi Ears 4, the Juno Da Vinci, the High Senior Mega 5 EST, and you'll notice how close those are to my target. It's an interesting thing to look at. Look how close those IEMs are. They almost all have this rainbow pretty tune. It looks really cool right there, and I'm pretty happy with it. But here's the thing. When you look at the trifecta graph, it's gonna be an off tune for most people. And so let's take a minute and look at that now. Now the Campfire trifecta is kind of a crazy graph here. Let's go ahead and remove the Fade 1 here real quick and just look at it. But you'll notice it has kind of scooped mids, excessive amount of bass and sub bass, and a lot of interesting things about it. It is a very interesting and peculiar IEM that I wanted to point out to you guys. Now, along those lines, if we look at this, you'll notice that it does have kind of scooped mids here. It does have a ton of energy around this 8K region, a ton of 5K region. And it's a very interesting graph, and by a lot of people would consider it bad. Like if you want to look at something funny, I want to show you the graph of my Aria, which actually was broken, and you notice it kind of has some similar peaks and dips to it. It's kind of a funny IEM tune, and it's something interesting to note. That if you're looking for something neutral, I would be honest with you and tell you to steer away from the Campfire trifecta, because it is not a neutral set. It is a special set and it does some things different, and I think that's important to note. This is more for the people that are in that kind of different crowd, like that crowd where they want to spend a ton of money on audio products. Not something that I personally would do, but it's something to note, and I wanted to share that with you. Note the Aria 2 the Aria that I showed you was actually broken, and the filters had fallen out of the IEM. That's why it looks so crazy. So let's look at a few other things. We have the Campfire Bonneville, and the Campfire Bonneville and Trifecta kind of have this similar kind of thick bass, and kind of scooped mids here. But the Bonneville for me had just absolutely no presence region, which kind of made it just didn't sound very good on some tracks. I think it did better on some tracks due to certain things about it, but it did feel like it had a major, massive presence region that was overly scooped, and it just felt a little bit lacking for me, and it didn't work for me. It almost felt broken to me. If we look at some other ones, this is another one, the Campfire Fei 1. Now, the Fei 1 is a very interesting set. It's a little bit more lean bass, a little bit more subdued upper mids and presence region, and it's just a little bit more flat through that area, but it does have some interesting peaks. I think the Fei 1's a special set, and what it does is does orchestral music to the best I've ever seen. And these are pretty competitive in price, and I think that's just something to note, that like sometimes these expensive sets like the Fei 1 that we've got to review on channel are different and unique. And again, they're not for people that are looking for the latest collab that's a neutral set. They're looking for something a little bit wild and crazy. As we go up, another one to look at is maybe the Grand Maestro. You notice the Grand Maestro, I think, is a more easy to recommend set for mainstream people, as it does kind of have that great bass and sub bass, but it doesn't have this boomy this boomy mid bass region. It doesn't have that scooped mids. It has a little bit better presence region, a lot better that mid treble region, and I just think overall it would be a more recommended set, because the Campfire Trifecta doesn't work on all music. If you're looking for an all-arounder, the Grand Maestro might be something to look for. As we look at other sets, let's look at this, the Fur Audio E10. Now, I didn't really like this one, although it graphed a lot like the Trifecta. I think, I reviewed this one a while back when I haven't had as much experience in that expensive market, and kind of got the whole need of what this market is. The market for people that the Trifecta is for are for people that own a lot of sets, that want something different and unique for a different library and something different to listen to. It's an interesting set to say the least, but I do like the Campfire Trifecta better than the Fur Audio E10, whereas if I looked at FR, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between these two, because they're kind of both really peaky and it's kind of crazy. The Fur Audio E10, I kind of felt like it was the same way. I felt like it had a little bit better bass, but again, it's about finding the right tracks of what it works for. I don't think this is what I would, either of these sets are not something that I personally would push for, but I can see how people would like them despite them not being something that I personally would rank or value at their price. They're interesting, they're unique, they're kind of fun and kind of special, but not something that I fully enjoy. But I do understand why people would like these style sets. If we look at other ones, like another expensive one is the Dita Dream. Like the Dita Dream just felt like a flat line with a lot of haze. It didn't work for me. It didn't have any mid-presence region. It didn't have any bass region, whereas the Trifecta kind of does a lot of that well, and kind of has, again, not a neutral tune, but a tune that's doable for my ears, and it does some music that I really, really like. Another one to look at is the Swear SR11. Again, like a $2,500 set. It has a way less lean bass. The Swear SR11 is almost like a badly done neutral set. It's not bad, but it does lack excitement. It doesn't have great bass. Its mid presence region is kind of odd, and it does have a lot of 1K energy. It's a lot more neutral than the Trifecta, but it's not exciting or neutral to my ear. Personally, I'd recommend the Elysian Acoustics Lab Annihilator 2023. It has really nice bass, really good treble, interesting treble. I mean, it to me, it's like a flavored neutral rather than kind of a borked crazy set. Like the Campfire Trifecta to me is kind of Bizarro Land tube styled IEM, and it's very If you look at my playlist, you know, when I listened to my first few tracks, it just, I don't know, it didn't work very well for me. Like all the orchestral music, all the parts of Magic Figaro, O Mio Bambino Caro, and Fergie Rigoletto did not work. Iron Man was kind of good, but when I finally got to stuff like that's a little bit more poppy, like I Will Survive or There's a Light That Never Goes Out, these are some of the coolest renditions of those tracks that I've ever heard, and it was a ton of fun. It leads me to believe that it's not really a bad IEM, but as an IEM designed by people who listen to certain styles of music, and my guess is tuned 100% by ear and not by looking at a FR graph. I think they just tuned it to be a fun, engaging experience on certain tracks, but not all tracks. Okay, let's rank the Campfire Trifecta up. It's not great for its price. It's not a good bargain. It's very much so a specialist for somebody who owns multiple sets. Its bass and overall tuning I don't find very appeasing or very good. I feel like if you can fix the mids in this and the air through EQ, it could do good, or if you hit the right track, it's great. But when this thing hits, it becomes this kind of amazing, fantastical set. So kind of what I'm trying to express here in numbers is that I do feel that the dynamics come through on the right tracks. The soundstage, the resolution, the technical ability is strong at certain times. But on most tracks, especially orchestral music, you will find something very unique. Again, this is not something for people who are looking for a flavored neutral. It is full-blown crazy, but I kind of dig it. You know, if you're looking for something clean and pure and not and just simple, there's a ton of IEMs, even some IEMs in that $50 to $300 range that are really quite exceptional and have good micro details and a lot going on for them. But if you're looking for something fun, this is what that style IEM is. It's something that takes a bit of appreciation, like appreciating some kind of crazy art that's abstract that you're not used to. It takes time, and I don't think it's going to be for everyone who, especially those that are new to the hobby and just looking for a simple set for gaming and for watching stuff on the go. Thanks for watching my video. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?